Hello folks. 2 weeks ago our pal Tom McLean, Positive Belfast, made a short video on the questions that Christians don't like to be asked. Tom's video clearly inspired several very interesting and well-considered comments. Some years ago I felt that many questioners wanted to bait rather than debate the questions, and so I came up with the questions that they had probably never researched themselves. Whether one is a Christian, agnostic, atheist, creationist, evolutionist, or whatever, my choices may give rise to some interest. In Hebrew, people's names have specific meanings. For example, the name Adam means man, Noah means comfort or rest, etc. In Genesis 5 genealogy, Adam's offspring appear, as here, in chronological order, and provides us positive authenticity to biblical scripture, as it refers to Jesus and by association a second New Testament. It literally takes my breath away in its staggering clarity. The message is crystal clear when you read it as a complete sentence rather than as a list. When you look at the lifespan of each of Noah's descendants and when they were born in relation to the ages of their parents, it adds up to around 4,000 years before the birth of Christ. It begs the question of how this incredible foreknowledge came into being without the intricate hand and design of an all-knowing God. The earliest biblical manuscripts were written in ancient Hebrew and later into Greek. Uniquely, both languages are alphanumeric, in other words, each having letters and words that also have numerical counterparts. Let's start with Hebrew to show its amazing properties. By simply adding up the numerical values, something astounding is revealed. A perfect example seen in the very first book and verse of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. Gematria. From ancient times there has been a Jewish esoteric tradition that explores the nature of God. Our usage of the process today is called Gematria, which uses Hebrew alphanumerics to discover hidden biblical texts, and much of what has been found is truly phenomenal. Employing the process of equidistant numbering, typically with every 7th or 49th word in a selected biblical text, what has been hidden is a powerful confirmation of God's actual majesty, power and authority, and something that no human had a hand in. In essence, it is similar to codes used by cryptographers, particularly in wartime. The following extracts are sublime examples of Gematria in action. Note that 49 is a multiple of 7, and here everything is in sevens. The wonderful world of deoxyribonucleic acid, better known to you and me as DNA. This amazing, staggeringly complex structure, to be found in every living thing, is slowly yielding more about creation than could ever have been imagined, and defines all living things, making us uniquely who we are. The code, all 3.2 billion chromosomes in every human body, is amazing in many different ways. For example, if all the DNA in your body was put end to end, it would reach to the sun and back over 600 times. That's 100 trillion times 6 feet divided by 92 million miles. Yet will sit comfortably coiled in a teaspoon. In a very simplified way, I've created a DNA string representing chromosomes in a very carefully worded phrase. You'll see why in a moment. Using just 7 letters, some duplicated, note how subtle reorganizing completely changes various aspects in form and gender, amongst others. The phrase is, "I am not a woman," and it looks like this. By rearranging the letters, I have created 2 life forms, from I am to am I. By removing 2 letters, I've also changed the gender. So we now have variations within a kind, just as a wolf and a hyena are 2 of a kind. A dog. 2 letters gone, the gender has now changed but still retains exactly the same contextual effect. In similar fashion, DNA, X to Y, arrangement creates totally different and unique life forms of the same kind. From the negative phrase, we can now go to the more positive, simply by removing 2 letters to create 4 new life forms. I only have to add 3 letters, W, H, Y, to create an entirely new range of life forms to the phrase. What could I do with 3.2 billion that my creator hasn't already done so magnificently? From my 6 pointers to creation, my examples of DNA offers a most basic idea of how only a creator God could have designed the building blocks of life, not by man and not something that crawled out of the mud. Jesus wasn't joking when he said that even the hairs on our head were numbered. Charles Darwin probably had no inkling of the impact his work would have on the world. But when you look at some of the world's most despicable characters who were raised in Christian homes, the phrase survival of the fittest brought a whole new evil ideology into play. People like Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, Marx, Armin, and many others dispensed with the Christian narrative to engage in the absolute power of domination under the no-rules doctrine of evolution theory. The theory never died, as the evolutionists do not want an unseen God in the picture. For without a God, there are no rules other than those set by man alone. We can see this every day, with the levels of dictatorial control being implemented by unscrupulous, corrupt, power-driven politicians, governments, councils, multinational conglomerates, big business and banks. The good news is that God is still in charge and preparing to show his hand. In the last frame, we saw the results of what happened when members of former Christian families turned to evolutionary theory during and since the Second World War. Worldwide, most people rejected the ideology, perhaps little realizing that it was based on the religion of evolution. While there is no sound proof that evolution exists, the ideology provides the open doorway to the most heinous acts of power, control and subjugation of the weak under the banner of survival of the fittest and the depths to which man can sink. And it comes under the heading of morality, or in this case, lack of morality. I finish this presentation with one final thought to consider. When asked how they determine the age of the rocks, the evolutionary scientists say by the fossil layer. Asked how they date the fossil record, they say by the age of the rocks. It's what's known as circular reasoning. In other words, using an unknown to prove an unknown. Thank you for watching.